Welcome back to another episode of my trading vlog, where most of the views come from returning subscribers. If that's you, I'd appreciate the like. If not, consider subscribing. Let's talk about AMC, GameStop first, and then we'll go into a couple other tickers just really quickly, and I'll wrap up with SPY and the day trades I had today and how I saw and made those trades. AMC is actually doing a little bullish thing here. There was a measured move down that I put on the charts, and I used a 50% extension first. I'm gonna start putting this 50% extension down. I'm noticing that when wave C, or when you have this third wave of a corrective push, only reaching that 50% mark, that's generally pretty bullish, and I believe it's called a running flat. At any rate, you see price push below bearish continuation at 496, and then this is a sticky level at 469. Price then pushes back up to bearish continuation and is now finding resistance. And the big question is going to be whether or not we can get above 496 in a meaningful way. And if we do, then the next price target is pretty much going to test 612, I think, which is a fantastic run. That's a big pop through there. Now, there's going to be a lot of analysis to do on this very small time frame to try to find whether or not that's true. And there's definitely going to be some channels and some reverse wedges, and it's going to be a mess. I'm going to be updating my wave count on AMC rather regularly, I think, just to try to catch whatever big reversals we may see. It's very possible we're about to top out. What I would look for on the hourly time frame is a bearish divergence right here. In a corrective trend, at the end of corrective trends, we tend to only hit the RSI at either oversold or overbought once, in which case we could set a new high in the price and a lower high in the RSI, forming that bearish divergence, in which case I'm going to be calling all of this wave A, which is formed by a measured move down, which was a little truncated, and then a B wave through here. And in that B wave, there is going to be three waves, the third of which is motive and will feel good like this pop. This makes sense. And in that corrective phase, this would be wave A, B, and then C coming up higher. And again, I'm looking for a bearish divergence here in the RSI to mark the top of that wave. So AMC is finding some push back up, and that makes sense to me because we had that incredibly strong impulse pushing higher. Here's the chart I've been following for 2 years. And you can see that today, the volume is pretty good today. We'll probably close the gap between the current volume and the 30-period average at 32 million. Implied volatility is not ticking up yet. The RSI is bouncing, coming up after touching down near 50. And so we really could see a test up here of this prior high. That's possible. In fact, it may even be likely because price, I believe, is moving sideways through a very tall trading range. I think I went over that a while ago. And I don't think I need to go into the 50-minute time frame, although that chart is really good. I just want to show it. It's great. I think I have it on, is it this chart? It is this chart. Let's go over here. We'll go into the 50-minute time frame. And this is what we were looking at before. We had this triangle form on 721 when we didn't break down below 427. I said sideways confirmation. We blew through 450 bullish. Of course, this is a meme move. Price came right back down to reality, and now we're spinning around through some rather important levels of support and resistance. Going to GameStop next. GameStop has me guessing again, which is annoying, but I think we're still on track to reach 2086. I flipped bullish back here when we rejected bearish continuation, and we had an upward breakout of this pennant, but guess what? It's just an overthrow, and now we're starting to see the price spin along 2216. I'm very much expecting a downward breakout, and when we get that downward breakout, we'll talk about what the targets may be. It looks like that might be a good pennant pattern, and I'll just go ahead and do it now. If this is a bear flag, right, I bet you we're going to get another target at 2086. 2075. That's pretty close. So it looks like GameStop might be edging its way down. Pretty frustrating, especially after seeing it reject 2216 earlier last week. Implied volatility is increasing. We expect that to reverse, but this probably means that we actually get a corrective bounce, right? Again, GameStop has me guessing again. It's just a lot of sideways grind. If anything, we're not looking at impulse through here, and this could all be part of a larger C wave pattern, right? Like, all you have to do is assume that your C wave wasn't big enough through here, and you can just expand it. Like, you could that makes sense too, you know? I was supposing that maybe this big impulse run higher could have been like a wave 1 instead of a C, in which case I have to shuffle these waves around, right? But it's possible this is actually a ABC pattern, and then we have ABC, and that gives us some sort of combination 3-3-5 through here. And if we want to be really confusing, maybe we could even put wave C in some sort of reverse pattern through here. So I can really see some pretty convoluted stuff going through GameStop and AMC. It's just a mess. Like, honestly, these meme stocks are going through corrective trends that just are driving me nuts. Let's go to BBIG really quickly. I haven't looked at BBIG in a bit. I have too many charts to try to keep up with right now. We had a massive slide lower. Holy cow. I was calling for bearish reversal at 217. Price has just fallen all the way back down to 50 cents. Holy cow. On July 24th, I said we'd be going sideways for a bit, and that was up here towards these peaks. We did go sideways for a bit, and then we hit the top of our motive wave count, and guess what? That completed the top of our corrective wave count, and of course, what follows is impulse heading down, and that is incredible. Wow, just whew, damn. Okay, BBIG. Let's go to Tesla, following up on some of the analysis I did the other day. I was conceptualizing. I don't know if I actually included it in the analysis, but I was saying that we might have some confusing broadening pattern through here, in which case we might overthrow this top trend line, and it looks like that's starting to happen. And in this case, I'm kind of expecting to test 273.88 before seeing more downside in Tesla. We'll see if we get there. But I think what we're really going to want to watch here is Apple and Google. Apple is definitely giving me wave 5 vibes. Okay, we're just going to keep moving the top of wave 5 at the minute degree and wave 3 at the minor degree until we're happy. This is starting to look a little like this, and this appearing in wave 5 makes sense. All right, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. This could be an ending diagonal triangle or a true rising wedge. We're going to get an impulse very soon, and when that impulse occurs, it will signal the next trend direction for at least the next week or two, I want to say. We're going to watch carefully here on Apple. Going to Google next. Google is breaking out higher still from its earnings flag. It's important to watch this very closely because the earnings flag essentially is a measured move up. I'm going to go into the daily time frame. You can see that there is a downtrend breakthrough here. We haven't retraced this push higher yet, and that could be a very good thing, but I would expect to come down to 126, 127 before seeing more upside or before really getting bullish. When we see the bearish divergences on the RSI like this break, it's probably because we're getting wave count extensions that are completing, in which case we may be counting 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we still have another 4 and 5 wave to complete. 4 coming down, 5 coming up. So spinning along this downtrend right now makes more sense to me than just breaking up and out and flying away. Although with the way the tech sector is going, you never know, that could really be the case. Volume right now is starting to peter out since that earnings report. I believe that's what that was. I'm going to go ahead and just turn on, let's see here, equities, corporate actions, see what day that was. That was on the 25th, right. So volume since then has been petering out, and implied volatility is starting to drop. We'll see if this holds. I'm inclined to think not, especially if this is the top of a C wave. This could be an impulse A heading down, and then a B wave setting a new high, which is always the most annoying thing because you get these broadening patterns. I'm just going to keep drawing that broadening pattern until we get a reversal. It's going to keep us guessing for a little while, and that tells me the markets are probably going into correction. Looking at NVIDIA, I was expecting a top near 473. That level is holding quite nicely. Started to speculate that we might be moving through some sort of pennant pattern through here. It's very possible. We had a reverse ending diagonal, also really annoying back here, and that of course did correctly predict the downward breakout and push down to 443, which is the bearish reversal level still. Price bounced from there in a 3-wave form. As you can see, there is a little bit of overlap between this dip and those highs here. And what that tells me is that this can't be a motive wave count heading higher anymore, not unless it's some sort of ending diagonal triangle, because it's going to be in wave C at that point, I believe. It looks like I've got this currently marked as wave B, which makes sense. A, B, and C. B target at 466. Price is now spinning along that level, and we'll be calling for bearish reversal probably again at 461. I'm going to go ahead and put that down. I'm going to duplicate this this tool, and I don't want it to be like starting way back in the past, so I want to show it as a shorter term thing. Bearish reversal right there. If we can get below that level, it takes out this first impulse as a potential wave 1. I hope that makes sense. If not, maybe there's some other videos you can watch, Elliott Wave Explained. Also, the video that my most recent video called Fake Chart Patterns or False TA Exposed. That one's pretty good too, and explaining some of those things. Let's go look at AMD. We'll run around the tech sector here for a bit. We're going sideways. We're holding on to that 107.2 level, which is what I was expecting. You know, the forecast, of course, was that we either hold here or drop to the uptrend, and we held. Moving sideways is what I'm expecting, and I drew this out a while ago. You can see price is starting to fall the expectation very well. You may be calling head and shoulder top through here, but again, this is probably not the top of a wave 5. Okay, if it is the top of a wave 5, then we're going to have to figure out how it's an ending diagonal triangle through here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Maybe. It's another possible correct count. There's always multiple possible correct Elliott wave counts. That could be one of them. But I'm pretty confident that we're at the peak of minor wave 3. Now finding ourselves in minor wave 4, A, B, and C, and this might be a running flat. That makes sense to me. Makes me wonder if wave 2 was sharp, which it looks like it was. Looking for the alternating form in corrective patterns there might be the clue. Let's go to PLTR. I don't really have a lot of analysis on PLTR. I don't even think I have more than one drawing set. At one point in time, I drew a downtrend through here, and that downtrend has broken. We've had the retracement, and we've set a new high, in which case we really have to consider that this could be a very strong move higher. I mean, really, a really much stronger move higher. I'm going to go ahead and delete some of these old drawings. Again, I haven't looked at this chart in a long time, but it looks like we had a corrective bounce, of course, and a retracement. Now we're pushing higher, and I really want to call this wave 1, 2, and this could be 3. And wave 3 could be extending in a half staff formation through here. Look at this. In which case, that's our flagpole. The retracement comes down to there, and our 100% target's at 2283, and it's already confirmed. Okay, that's a big deal. Again, we're going to be taking peaks and valleys through here, and we find ourselves in some sort of converging trend lines, which means that I need to identify whether we're in wave 4 or in wave 5 or wave C, in which case this could be very bearish. I can already see 5 waves through here and 3, so we're going to have an alternation of 5 and 3 and 5, which makes me think leading. If that's the case, then we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the first wave of 5, so 1 of 5 here, maybe in a leading diagonal, but not likely, okay? Not likely, because we included the top of the flagpole for that count. Most likely, this is going to be the top of a motive trend. This will be a broadening top. There'll be some sort of diamond or expanding pattern up here before reversal. We're starting to set that bearish divergence, which is pretty common at the end of waves 3 and 5. This could very easily be the end of this rally, but again, I'm going to do more analysis on PLTR before I'm really comfortable saying that. Let's go have a look at something else here. I looked at Clorox. This video is going to be long, and it probably won't get very many views. That's fine. Sometimes I really do just need to like vlog. I did a ton of analysis on Clorox. Let's go ahead and pump this thing up, and we'll turn off the corporate events too. This is going to take a long time to process this video, which is fine. It's okay. Let's see here. Let's just blow this up and zoom in here so you can see that I'm showing at the supercycle degree wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which extends quite a bit all the way up till the dot-com bubble in the early 2000s, which took us to the top of wave 1 at the grand supercycle degree, dropping down to 2 at the end of that tech bubble burst. And since then, we've been in a fantastic wave 3, which I believe is beginning to top. We are seeing the beginning of this last impulse at the grand supercycle degree, which brings me into supercycle waves. I believe we saw the low of supercycle wave 4, and now we're watching cycle waves 1, 2, 3, and 4 form. If cycle wave 4 holds at 150, this is the bullish wave count, and we'll be looking for an extension up here. And this is again, of course, if bullish, then 231 is the target. Otherwise, we could be moving through a broadening pattern through here. Wave 4 would be overlapping into the height of wave 1 towards 138, and then the wave 5 would have a lower target somewhere near 200, and this would be completing a truncated fifth. All right, so I've got a bullish and bearish target here. The level to watch is 150. We'll see whether or not we go anywhere with Clorox. And I think that's all I really want to do. I could probably make I could do hour-long videos like every single day. Let's just check on Caravan while I'm looking around the markets. Starting to top, right? I was like on 719, I said correction soon. That was up here at the top of wave 5, top of wave 3 or C. And it looked like we might have a half staff formation through here, but price is turning back around. This might just be impulse A, B, C. We could be bouncing around for a long time along that $43 level. That's an important level of support and resistance. There's nothing to see here. We could be looking at an inverted head and shoulder begin to be built, but again, I don't think it's at the right spot in the wave count like I was saying in my prior videos. So I wouldn't be getting too excited about that yet. I think that's all I want to do. All right, so for now that's gonna be all, and I'm gonna move into the day trading segment, which I recorded just earlier. I want to go over the SPY on the minute time frame so I can talk about my day trades today. I did day trade. I'm not a huge fan of it, but sometimes, yes, I do it. And when I do, I use the 0 days to expire options on SPY. I know, it's degenerate stuff. It really is, but here we are. This was the mindset that worked for me today. I found myself with a wave count that didn't really agree with my wave count on the hourly time frame because I was showing waves below sub-minuet. When I do that, I put that little minus sign there to show that these waves are inferior to sub-minuet. Maybe I'll call them microwaves, whatever. But assuming that we did find the top of wave B at the minute degree, we're looking for an impulse heading down. And I think that this big dump we had from July 31st in the pre-market down through open, I think this was an impulse. We haven't seen price retrace this move yet, and thus far it is still, this downtrend is still intact. And I'm looking now for continuation unless this downtrend breaks. So let me run you through this. What I see is a 5-wave form through here, followed by an A, B, and C. 5, 3, followed by another 5-wave, another 3-wave, and then another 5-wave. This is happening between converging trend lines, and maybe you want to draw this like this, but then we don't get the downtrend touch. I think it's a safer bet to say that the impulse would overthrow the beginning of the pattern than otherwise, and that's very typical. Very, very typical. Often happens. What we're seeing now is the corrective bounce out of this pattern, which I believe is going to be wave 2 at the higher degree, which here is sub-minuet. And when you have these converging trend lines like this and alternating 5s and 3s with an overlap between the initial impulse and the 4th wave in this pattern, which here is 1, 2, 3, 4, this high here, definitely overlaps into the length of wave 1. This is a leading diagonal triangle, and it may be tempting to call this a falling wedge, when in reality, we may get that upward breakout. Of course we do, because we need a reactionary corrective uptrend after our impulse wave heading lower. This would be a leading diagonal triangle. It's impulse. It has 5 waves. Waveform alternates between 5 and 3, and we have the 1 and 4 overlap. We've seen the breakout through here, and it takes a 3-wave form. Because price is already passing below this peak at 457, we know this is not a count of 1. It's probably not 1, 2, 1, 2. It's probably A, B, and C. And while we're looking for more impulse waves heading lower, you can see how the RSI reaches overbought just once here before turning down. And when that happens in a corrective wave, such as wave 2, it tends to mark the top of that wave. This big push down to the intraday low, this is a wave E. It looks like a wave E, and I say that because of the strength of the wave. It's very motive. It just goes straight down, and you can see that there's even a big divergence in the RSI through here. And the reason why I sold down here is because we reached oversold, and typically I look for this oscillation below 50, near or at 30, to really start to show where these motive wave counts are starting to come into their terminations. And here we definitely saw that. And implied volatility also began to spike. When implied volatility begins to spike, we can assume that whatever move is needed to bring implied volatility down will follow. And here that means corrective, because again, I believe motive or impulse is pointing down, and so implied volatility is going to have a negative correlation with the price. And that means that when we do a counter trend, we're now going to have a double negative or a positive, which is a bounce in the price and a drop in IV. this worked really well. Let me run you through the trades. So I bought a call and I held it for seriously 3 minutes through here. And I popped out right away. And I'll actually show a little blurb of the contracts I traded. And there was one contract that I did lose money on here. And I call those lottos. They're just deep out of the money. They're cheap because they are deep out of the money and they expire, you know, the same day. If price makes a large move unexpectedly, then those will pay out really, really well. But otherwise, you're just losing money. So I typically don't like to enter into those contracts unless I'm using profits. It's really not like a smart thing to do. And I also exited that contract when I exited the rest of my positions. But I basically bought that lotto put. I call them lotto puts because it's like, yeah, you're pretty much gambling. Just admit it, right? Like, hey. I typically tend to do that with profits. So I played this bounce off of the completion of this motive wave count and into a wave C at a even smaller time frame or in smaller subdegree to buy that lotto. Anyway, when we came to the peak of this corrective bounce, A, B, and C through here, check this out. Wave C, of course, did its thing where it likes to make these rising wedges, right? I think that would have been a good chart pattern back there, but it was kind of hairy. At any rate, it's definitely the end of a corrective bounce, and so I played a put, and sure enough, I caught the very peak of that wave, and then rode it straight down into the bounce of B. And I did a good job there too, felt pretty good. And then I sat and I waited because SPY loves to wreck day traders. You get a big impulse like this, you've got one reactionary trend, and then guess what? You're going to be grinding sideways for a while. Generally speaking, this has been my experience. And sure enough, we did have a sideways grind. We came down and we bounced. And when we came back up to 457, this was obviously an important level of support and resistance. And it looked like we may have had a pennant through here, right? In which case, I was looking for the measure move down to come in and push lower, which eventually it did, of course. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this pennant, though, because I don't think it's best described that way. I think it's best shown as correctives A, B, and C waves instead of a pennant, because I don't think this is an A wave. I think this is a 1 wave. Don't worry about it. We're just going to keep going through here. And so I entered into a put here at 907, I think that was, and then I doubled down at 932-ish. And typically, doubling down isn't very good. And I should have probably stopped out here at 457.13, but my momentum indicators were telling me otherwise. And it was better to use this prior high at the top of 4 stop. And so I decided to hold, and then boom, we got this big push down, and I held all the way through here until the very, very bottom. And that's when the RSI was oversold, and I took all my profits and cut the losses on the lotto put, and now I'm just sitting it out. And now I've got this big A, B, C corrective wave, and it looks like we have the beginning of a new motive wave through here beginning. And so overall, I think the markets are about to enter into a corrective phase, and whether SPY grinds sideways for a while and then pops one last time or just starts dumping has yet to be seen and may be news dependent. So I wanted to go over this kind of towards the end of the video. I know people don't typically watch the whole video, but if you are in the Discord or you're day trading with me, this is kind of what I'm doing all day while I'm trading. It was a good day today. It was a really good day. Obi-Wan had a lot of good calls too. And yeah, feel free to join us there. I guess this will be the last segment of the video, so I'm going to end it with happy trading.